Welcome to Call of the Pen. Today is June 3rd. Steve is in his basement. And where are you at? Massachusetts. We got the old background, basketball hoops and everything ready to go. Throwback. And we got a special guest today, Steve. So one of your former teammates, who we got?
Yeah. Seattle. St. Louis Cardinals legend Trevor Rosenthal. I was going to talk about Seattle later, but anyways, he has 8 years in the show, parts of 8 seasons with the Cardinals, Nats, Detroit, Kansas City, San Diego. Hopefully I didn't forget any. 15 All-Stars, so what, a year before you, right?
I was a 17.
17, 2 years, okay. Career 3.16 ERA, and the biggest stat, 132 saves throughout his career, so... I mean, he was nails with the Cardinals. I saw it firsthand. World Series champion as well, right? You got a ring?
I got a ring.
Let's go. With the Nationals. Yep, you did it.
How many saves do y'all have? We're all probably pretty close, right?
I'm like at 70-ish. I always took it away from me.
Is it bad I have to look up my stats? Let's see. I was around where you had. I think I had let's see.
You might have
133. No.
Yeah.
You got me beat. Oh, I got you by 1. Look at that. That's right.
The softest thrower in the show has more saves than all of us.
Yeah, Trevor threw 100 miles an hour. What was your excuse?
Don't have
Anyways, well, people need to know, Rosie, what are you doing with your time these days, being retired and all?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm pretty excited to catch up with y'all. I mean, it feels like time has gone way too fast since we were all, playing baseball, and I miss those days a lot. I miss them more and more as time goes on, and we're further removed from it. But man, life's been really good. One of the probably the best things about being a retired baseball player is spending time with family and having young kids and being able to create some memories with them before they grow up and turn into adults. So yeah, enjoying time with them and my wife, and really just kind of using the same mentality that I had in my baseball career, where, just trying to look at opportunities and make the most of them, push myself to grow a little bit each day and learn new things, try new things, and, set a good example for my family, and obviously protect and provide for them, but then also look for ways to be impactful in the community. I think that's one of my most favorite things about being a professional baseball player is when people look at us, right? Like we put on the uniform, whether it's the Cardinals or the Seattle Mariners, Steve, and people look at us and they're mesmerized just because we have this uniform on. I always thought that was a really cool platform to have to affect other people and have an influence on lives. So yeah, just looking for ways to do that right now. And initially it was through some media platforms like this, like doing some podcasting. I had a co-host that I was helping out with launch a show. I was doing some stuff in the baseball world, some media stuff. And then throughout that process, I just realized that I had like this interest in entrepreneurship and business. And systems and people and teams. So right now I'm in the process of looking to acquire my first business to own and operate. So that's been
good for you.
Yeah, it's been fun. The further I get into that though, I realize how extremely hard it is. It's almost like the level of being a pro athlete. It looks really easy and fun when you're just watching from the sidelines, but then when you actually get into the weeds of what it takes to operate at that level, it's constant, it takes everything you got. So yeah, just in the early stages, but hopefully, continue on that path here over the next 12 to 24 months.
That's awesome. Did you get education on that when you were done playing ball, or are you just kind of jumping right in it?
It's been, I think God's opened up a lot of doors. He's put a lot of people in my life that have encouraged me along the way. As far as like formal education, not a whole lot. I did do a business. It's called Crossover into Business for Professional Athletes. It's a program that was provided by Harvard Business School. So I did that, and that was really cool. But most of it's been, just through absorption of people around me, friends that are owning and operating. We live in this age, this information age, where with technology, you can pretty much get access to anything you want to. So a lot of reading, combing through whatever I can find, some stories. So there's some really good books. The two of my favorite books right now would be the autobiography on Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. Mm-hmm. So I read that, and that was a huge inspiration. And then also the most recent autobiography on Elon Musk. I think there were some really cool takeaways there too.
Do you find yourself bored to want to be able to do that? Or you're just like, as soon as you were done playing, you were just like, I want to get into business. And I find myself like some days I'm extremely bored. Like, I really want to go do something, but like I have no passion to want to like jump into business, or I don't want to go buy a business that I don't think I'm passionate about. If that makes sense. So do you feel like you were passionate to where that's something you wanted to get into?
I think I don't have a great answer because it's like I'm just kind of like figuring it out, and I try just to like pray about it and make sure that I'm intentional about my desires and I'm not misaligned. Like I don't want to do something just to do something, right? Like
Right.
I don't want to just fill up my time with something that I'm not really passionate about or going to enjoy, or it's going to affect my family positively. But at the same time, like I feel like I am wired to work and to have some compensation for my efforts. So trying to figure out how all those things mesh together, and like I said, it just felt like there was a lot of people in my life that were encouraging me down the road of business ownership and operations. So I was like, okay, I'll just start diving into it and doing some research. And it's been really fun. Like right now, I would just consider it a hobby, and like collecting baseball cards. Maybe it's like the furthest thing away from being an actual baseball player. So I would put myself in that category of business ownership right now. But it's just interesting to learn, and the more I learn about entrepreneurship and capitalism, it's like, okay, this is the way like the world operates.
Right.
At the very least, I think the knowledge is powerful, and I think it's going to benefit me whatever happens, and hopefully be able to pass that along to my kids too is something that I'm really hopeful for.
I think that's awesome. You're this, I think, the second, athlete we've had on here that felt the desire to be driven. Who do we have on here last year, Kent, is your buddy who's a basketball player who
Jordan
started
Farmar.
Oh yeah, Farmar. He's the same thing. He's like, look, I mean, I was retired, and at some point, I was just like, you know what? I just need a challenge. Like, I need to be challenged in something. And so he started developing houses and
Yeah, now he builds
stuff out in
like $10
Vegas.
million houses.
Yep. It's like when you have a passion for something and you're probably called to it, you just get after it. So I think it's awesome you're doing that, dude. And you mentioned too, the sense of community and how important it is, for you to give back and stuff. And that's something I noticed about you when I was playing in our short time with the Cardinals is, and Wainwright set the standard, right? Like we made hospital visits while we were on the road to, children's hospitals. And that was like a common thing that was eye-opening to me being still a young professional in baseball. But I saw how passionate you were about even that. So your desire to, provide and support your community, it showed even back then. So I think you're doing a great thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's been a while since we've all caught up, and Kent, I mean, I don't know you as well as I know Steve, but like I think it's interesting to kind of talk about this subject of like transition out of the game. I mean, it was to me like it was a lot different than I expected. So like I the way my career started out versus the way it ended were two completely different things. I would say it probably ended a little bit quicker than I had anticipated or I had hoped.
You were
But
young,
it
30.
also, what's that?
Your last year, you were 30 years old. You were like extremely young.
Was I that young? I didn't even realize that.
Well, it says 2020 was your last like big league.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in 2020 was really the last year that I played, and then it was basically 3 or 4 years of injuries and trying to come back. And that's what kind of led me to the decision to hang it up. It just seemed like physically I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. But I mean for me it was abrupt and wasn't as much of like sailing into the sunset. But I think even like that like sailing into the sunset ideology, or like the Hall of Fame career, the tour, like guys that I talk to that have done that, it's still difficult. Like it's still something that I think we struggle with. So I don't know, what's that been like for you guys?
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, for me, like, I mean, I was 36 when I retired, and honestly, when I played with you, Trevor, is like the first signs that I had probably a significant hip injury going on. I just didn't realize it yet. It wasn't until I saw you in Seattle that next year when we talked. That's why I said Seattle earlier. I don't know if you remember, we were talking in between bullpens. You're asking how I like it. I'm like, man, I love it here. Like I've had some good experiences and struggled in some outings, but they still trust me, and that's something I didn't really felt like I had when I was with the Cardinals. So I felt great. But soon after that, it might have even been right before I saw you, my hip just gave way, like super sharp pains. All that to say, I got like a pretty extensive hip surgery after the 2016 season. Fast forward to 2022, and between my hip and my neck issues, I was just grinding like every day, just in the training room. every day, velos dropping. I wasn't as consistent as I normally was. I couldn't really feel the ball as well in my hand. And prior to that season, my wife and I talked about, hey, I love it. If it's starting to become more of a grind, and I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze, because I want to be around my kids. I want to be around the family more and have some continuity, in the family. And so we both agreed. And so that's kind of how I didn't sail off into the sunset, so to speak. I didn't really tell anyone I was going to retire, except for a few teammates that year, because I didn't want to be a distraction. But you know what? For me, I kind of mentally prepared myself because I knew 2022 was going to be my last year. I think that's the difference, right? Like, you were still battling back for injury. You still had that fight in you. For me, I was like, I'm going to give everything I have. Hopefully I blow out, because that was my goal, is to blow this elbow out. It didn't work out that way. But when I look back, I just, like, am I grateful for where the Lord had me? Am I grateful for the career I got to have? Yes. Like, all right, I can be satisfied with, being able to play as long as I have, So for me, it's time for me to be with my family.
Yeah, but how have you dealt with not playing, Steve? It's hard no matter what.
It's hard. Like, I've gone to 2 big league games, I think, since I've retired. And when I go there, I see the lights on, the guys getting loose. I'm like, man, I miss the competition. I miss that edge. But that kind of fades away. Then I try to change my mindset just to appreciate what these young guys are doing, instead of thinking about myself. Like, man, these guys have this incredible opportunity to play this game too. Like, I want to see how they get after it. And so I start getting into, like, how I would coach them. And, like, I like coaching. So all that to say, as I coach softball now, coach some baseball at the varsity level. I just got named the pitching director at Jupiter Christian School yesterday.
Nice, man. Congrats.
So they gave me a title, but I'm really there when I can be, type of thing. So yeah, I find ways to be able to serve others and serve my family. I think that's kind of what makes up my day to day now. I think you do the same thing, Kent.
I think for me, I think I still struggle with it day to day on, like, different times. Like, I drove to Sedona over the weekend, and, like, on the drive, you just think about, like, somehow just the playing days comes up, and it's just things you just start thinking about and you miss. And then, like, no matter what, I think it just disappears to you. Like, for me, I think I was mentally over playing, and I was playing in Philly my last year, and I hated every single day of my life there. And I think when I got released, it was like abruptly. I was one game away from a massive incentive. I was like 30 days away from 10 years of service time. I was just like so close, and then they just take it away from you. And I was just like so over it. I lost my mind on Joe Girardi, and that was it. I knew I just wanted to go home. I didn't care anymore. But I still have struggled, like, from year to year. I think trying to find my passion for what the next thing I do. Everyone always asks me, I'm like, I don't know. There's nothing I'm dying to do right now. I've slowly started, like, teaching kids, like, giving some lessons. I think it's cool to help little kids. And then I coach Little League. That was an experience. But my son loves baseball now. So that changes the whole passion for it, now that he's all in for it. But, like, there are a lot of programs out there I'm seeing that they will help, baseball players become entrepreneurs or whatever. But I haven't stepped into that yet, because I don't know if I'm fully ready to, like, dive in, because my kids are still young. So I think there's a conversation for that for sure, because there needs to be a better way for helping athletes retire. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor, I mean, what you don't know about Kent is he'd be an insanely good pitching coach. He's got, like, incredible eyes. He knows how the body moves real well. I mean, he trained at Cressy for, what, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with the program and stuff, like, yeah. So, I mean, he would be a huge asset to any team, but right now we talk about it. He just wants to be there, for his family and stuff. So down the road, I could see him getting, like, a pretty significant big league job.
I'm waiting for Daniel Descalso to be a manager, and then I'm an automatic pitching coach. Just waiting.
Are you and Scouts pretty close?
Yeah, we're locker mates in Chicago, and I always talk pitching. I always showed him about his own hitting or something about pitching mechanics and stuff, and he knew I'd always help him, like, Scherzer through the phone. And he's like, man, you're going to be my pitching coach when I'm the manager. I'm like, I'm going to remember you said that. So we still text. I'm like, I'm still waiting. He goes, no, don't worry. He goes, I had thrown your name out there many times to a lot of people, but maybe I pissed enough people off along the way where nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Girardi might not be your biggest fan.
I thought about there was many other ways I could have went about that. I could have just said, you know what, can I get my 10 years and you guys just put me on the 60-day? That would have been an easy conversation, but I was too emotional at the time. I was just so mad because I knew I had one game for a big incentive, and then he tells me he didn't even know So that pissed me off even more.
Yeah. That's like, those are the stories that it's like I forget the grind and all the bad things like the further away I get from like playing. It's like when I first was like, okay, I'm not gonna have, or even the idea of not playing anymore, it's like, oh, I can't wait, like that's gonna be so awesome. And now 2 years removed, it's like I only remember the good things, like you were saying, Steve, of like sitting in the stands, seeing the lights on, seeing the guys, you're like, oh, like that looks so good. But actually being in their shoes, the pressure and the anxiety and like dealing with the pain and the injuries, it's like, okay, I don't necessarily miss that part of it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But there's a certain level of grind that you appreciate, right? Like
Oh yeah.
I think it's safe to say all three of us were pretty consistent in how we like took care of ourselves. I spent a lot of time with Kintz in the weight room. We a lot of foam roll conversations. And just so you know, like he would tell you too, we're pretty much complete opposites in terms of personality. But what makes us such good friends is our desire to win and make others better, right? And you were a really good example of that, especially with the Cardinals. I mean, I get traded over the Cardinals, Kent. I see this young kid pitching with his hair on fire every day, throwing 100 miles an hour. Former position player, right, Trevor?
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the weight room every single day. And I'm like watching, I'm like, this is it. Like, this guy has got it. And so you appreciate those things because he's hungry to win. He has that desire. And actually, while we're on the subject, Trevor, I mean, obviously the Cardinals is probably your favorite organization, if I had to guess. Like, what was it about your time there that was so special? And what is it? Can you explain the Cardinals way to people, and what is it that separates that from like other teams?
Yeah, well, I agree. I would say the Cardinals are a special organization to me, mainly because, I mean, I was drafted by them, right? Like I was
For sure.
drafted when I was 19 years old, and it was really all that I ever knew. It's where I kind of grew up, and I would say like that was the strength of the organization to me, at least in my experience. From the top down, like the guy who drafted me was Jeff Lunau. I feel, that he was very impactful for the opportunity that he allowed me to have in the organization. And now as I've matured, I've gained a lot of respect for his genius and his mind in just sports in general, and how he has a vision for players and for talent. But the Cardinals, talking about the Cardinal Way, I can't speak too much to other organizations because I didn't come up with a lot of different organizations. But I think there was just an aspect to the culture, whether or not it was specific to the Cardinal Way or not, I'm not sure. But there was just some great people some great, senior leadership people along the way of my development that impacted me and taught me how to play the game, how to be a professional, how to show up and do your work, how to perform, how to have a process to get results. But at the same time, like how to have respect for the staff, how to have respect for the game that we're playing, for the clubhouse, for your teammates. So there was just a lot of things that I think I was fortunate to have impact me. And I would say it's definitely boiling it down. If you boil it down to describing that type of culture, is the Cardinal Way. And I would say like that's what the Cardinal Way is. It's trying to develop a culture within the sport, within the team that everybody recognizes. And as a young player, it was pretty easy to buy in. It was like I felt like the St. Louis Cardinals was in my blood to some extent. And I wanted to show up every day, and I was ready to run through a wall to do everything I could to help the team win at every single level, all the way up to the major leagues. And one thing that was kind of interesting, and I think this topic kind of alludes to it, but when people from the outside would come in, veteran players or players that we acquired that didn't come through the system, it was like, oh, like the Cardinal Way, what's this Cardinal Way? You think you guys are better than everybody else? And even though there was that rub, I think it was cool, and I think there was a positive response to it. And Steve, maybe you could talk to this, is once guys got in to the system, it wasn't necessarily like, we talked about the Cardinal Way and we thought we were better than people, but I think it was just boiling it down more to like culture. And of course, winning solves a lot of problems, and it's easy to buy in when you're a winning organization. But just the fact that it was like, yeah, we're the Cardinals, we have a high standard, we expect ourselves to do the absolute best that we can, and we expect people to recognize that level that we're holding ourselves to. I think it was overall positive, and that's how I would kind of describe what the Cardinal Way was, at least what it meant to me.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it was when I got traded from the Marlins, talk about two different organizations. It was just like night and day, like I remember I had to stand up in
Called
front
up
of
to
the
the
team
big
and
leagues
like,
from Miami.
you guys have to give a speech. Kinda, yeah. I mean, I remember I was just jokingly thanked the GM at the time. Hey, Thank you for getting me out of Miami because it was a bad time over there when I was there. And I love playing for Miami. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I went from like a team that was falling apart to an organization that we had a chance to win the World Series. Like we made the playoffs that year. And it was a drastic difference. I remember seeing my teammates on the Marlins. They're like, "You like it over here?" I'm like, "Dude, it's like incredibly different." I mean, if I catch a first pitch, I'm getting paid to do it. They're giving me a gift card to like this steakhouse, man. The Marlins are just like, "You're doing this. You don't have a choice, and you're not getting anything." I was introduced to like a team taking care of you for the little things, and I think that goes a long way with players. So I'm always about the little things. They treated our families great there. I was a new dad, and honestly didn't handle it well. That year was a rough year for me personally on a performance level. And I wish I handled things a little bit differently. I wanted so bad to get one more chance to play with the Cardinals. I tried. I don't know if you know this, Trevor. I tried a couple of years, and Mo was like, I don't know. So didn't work out. But no, I enjoyed the time there.
Yeah, it's funny when Sean Doolittle got traded to the Nationals. He's like, man, I finally got called up to the big leagues, because he was in Oakland for so long.
Oakland, yeah, that's awesome.
He's like, they have a chef? I didn't know big leagues had a chef.
Yep. The Cardinals had a chef. It was Ricky Fowler's chef, right? Simon, is that his name?
Yeah, Simon.
Yeah, he was really good. That was new to me. I was used to eating bagel bites with the Marlins before pregame, and that's why I always make PB&Js everywhere because our pregame was so bad. And then I go there and there's a chef like preparing all the food. I'm like, what is this?
I feel like they have chefs in the minor leagues now.
Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. I'm sure the Marlins end up getting a chef at some point, but.
Trevor, I was looking to start your career.
When we get
hold on, sorry, I was cutting you off. Talk about real stuff now.
Go ahead.
To start your career, you start out 74, 72, and 68 games. Do you think that is where kind of like you're kind of put me? You still had good seasons, but that's like you start a battle, a lot of injuries. Do you think that was the way they treated you, rode you? You think that's where it kind of like started the grind of just physical being able to play?
Man, that's like, it's just so tough to unpack. I mean, when Steve was talking about like just being grateful for everything that he's, the game has given him, like I'd kind of like try and defer to that mindset because I mean, of course, like if I could go back and change things, like I would change so many things in hindsight and just being more wise now. But yeah, I think, looking at my usage, it was always a topic, like especially with my agent. My agent saw what was going on. Some people that I was close to, like pitching coaches in other organizations, they would approach me about it and we would have conversations. So I think there was some neglect both on my end and on the organization and just communicating of like, hey, like we probably shouldn't get hot or pitch in a game for 20 straight days. That's probably not going to have good results. But me being hard-headed and a competitor, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take some anti-inflammatories and I'm gonna say I'm good and I'm gonna go out there and take the ball. And like I said, in hindsight, probably not the best decision. And that falls on my shoulders to an extent. And I think to the extent of the organization, I mean, I was 22, 23 years old, so there's probably some responsibility that they could have stepped in and not allowed those things to occur either. But yeah, I think the usage it's still a thing that goes on today. It's interesting how different organizations approach this too. As I moved on from the Cardinals and was with other teams, there are teams that do a good job of monitoring it and limiting guys and really trying to advocate for the player health. And, I wouldn't say, I don't want to say the Cardinals didn't do that, but I definitely didn't feel that way as much as I felt with other organizations. And I'm sure you guys have we've all been through the grind of sitting out in the bullpen and seeing guys get called, the phone rings and you're like, that guy again, or,
Steve.
Me in this spot, like really, what are we doing here? So I'm sure you guys, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here.
I know, but you were, this is what's wrong. Like you should have had, I'm sure you think about it a lot, but as a player from the other side, there's just no way you should have been done at 30 years old. There's no way. You should have pitched till you're 36, but you're such your high velocity. There's just no way you 74, 72, 68 and never got above 50 ever again. Like that is, and you were 25 years old.
Yeah.
That's just, there's just, I wish someone would have taken care of. I wish there was someone that stuck up for you, by the way. Because I think maybe I rubbed people the wrong way, but I was going to stick up for players that should not. There's no way this guy's pitching there. There's just no way. And then I wish someone would have talked you into it or something. It sucks. It really does. It sucks because
I'll,
you're
I'll play.
you're
I'll
probably
play
the
the other
only guy
side.
at the time. You and Kimbrel were the only guy throwing 100 miles an hour at the time, probably, and you're pitching every day. It was crazy. I remember from afar, I was like, man, I really hope Rosenthal does not come in today.
Like you got to think too from a manager standpoint. That's tough. Like when you're trying to make a playoffs and there's only like a couple guys in the bullpen that you trust in like high leverage situations. I mean, a lot of our games weren't blowouts, right, Trevor? I mean, when I played with you, they were all pretty tight games. And on one sense, they traded for me and Broxton to come and take some of the weight off Trevor and Seagrass' shoulders. I didn't install a ton of confidence in Matheny early on. I had a bad first impression, threw a ball away and just kind of stunk. And from that point on, I was just pitching in low leverage situations. I think I had one save. And when I had that save, I threw well. And they still wouldn't put me in big situations. But Broxton got a lot of those. He scuffled. He was kind of hot and cold. And then, but Trevor and Seagrass were nails every single time. So from a manager standpoint, it's like, I mean, it's a guaranteed win if we're up 1 or 2 runs. Like, I got to run them back out there. Like, we're in a push here. So I kind of see both sides. It's just difficult. Like, what do you do? You know?
Yeah.
So, and then you got Trevor. He's 22 years old. He's like, I feel great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going through a brick wall. You know, it's like, I see, but so you can see both sides.
I see that's what we signed up for, but really, like, come on, man. Like,
yeah. But let's switch gears though. I agree. It's just a tough situation. But talking about your mindset, Trevor, you're a closer, throwing 100 miles an hour, hair's on fire. What was your day to day like? I like the young listeners to hear how much work goes into being not only a professional athlete but a closer, and also the day to day mindset of when things are going well and wrong. Like, what was it that kept you so grounded?
Yeah, it's like it's fun to think back on now of just how I grew as a professional, how I grew as a player. Even before we jumped on this call, we were talking about a lot of the things, like these like intangible things, like Kins, you were talking about, like sitting next to Descalzo and just like building a relationship and rapport, and like all those little things that go into being on a productive team. And like, I felt like I was the same way. Like I took a lot of pride in all of the little things. Like I wanted, obviously like the big things and the cliche things is like, be early, stay late, like all those kind of like cliche mentalities. I'd put myself into that bucket, and I always wanted to work hard, and whether it was in the weight room or on the field, like I wanted to be the biggest and the fastest and the strongest, all that kind of stuff. But I also just wanted to be a positive impact to the team. And we have that opportunity in the bullpen and being around guys, and that was always important to me. When a guy like Steve comes in and he's new to the organization, it's like, okay, how quickly can I build a relationship with him, figure out what makes him tick, like get into his mind, like what are some things, like there's guys that I would know if I piss this guy off, like he's going to perform better tonight. And so finding ways like that, or if it's like, okay, this guy, like he needs a word of encouragement, and that's going to help him perform better tonight. So like trying to find those little things in people's personalities and in the clubhouse over a long season, that was so fun to me. But yeah, I mean, on the other side of it, like talking about preparation, I always wanted to be as prepared as possible. I wanted to, go through the information on my own. I liked watching video. I liked looking at game reports, like statistics, numbers. Fortunately, I had a couple of really good guys to do that with. Adam Wainwright being one of them. I felt like he was the best pitching coach that I ever had. And then secondarily, working with Yadier Molina, he was a guy, if you came to the field and you couldn't find him or you didn't know where he was, well, he was in the video room doing research and putting together his own reports. And so, butting up with those two guys, being able to bounce questions off them, seeing how they work. But I mean, to your point, Steve, I mean, it's nonstop. Like there's always something to learn. There's always something to be prepared for. I mean, we play a game every single day. So there's new lineups, there's new players. I always, I would credit a lot of my success. People, on the outside would say, okay, you throw 100 miles an hour, pretty easy to have success. But and I agree with that. But at the same time, like I had a level of confidence when I got on the mound because I had done so much, preparation, like taking care of my body, obviously, but doing the scouting reports and understanding a hitter, just feeling like I had an edge. Whether I did or not, who knows? But just that work that I would put in and to maximize my time was important. I don't know. Hopefully that kind of gives somewhat of a summary. I mean, at the end of the day, we're baseball players, and it's probably the best job in the world that we could have. So I don't want to make it sound too convoluted or.
That's a great answer. That's good. Yeah, I mean, dude, you see, even back then, I've seen guys that threw 100 that got it turned around. You know what I mean? I'm not going to mention names, but I know a few. But yeah, you were always prepared, man. And there is a lot of work behind the scenes. And I think that does give you an edge when you know what you're up against, no matter what your stuff is like. Like, you can just rear back and fire it, but you also know guys that can turn that around no problem. So how do I pitch those guys? It's such a rough feeling when you know you didn't prepare as well as you could have and you blew the game. I was much more okay with it, or if I blew the game, but I knew I prepared the best as I possibly could and gave it all I had. You know what I mean? But there's those times where you kind of get complacent, and then it catches you. You're like, dang, I cost us that one. That was on me.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
I think,
routine.
like we were talking, what's that?
That's why having a routine was just so important, good or bad.
Yeah.
You just had to do the routine.
Having the routine, sticking to the routine, and then, not being afraid either to like learn or adjust, I think that's the coolest thing about being in a major league clubhouse. Like we talked about like the All-Star game, like Kent, you were All-Star. Steve, you were All-Star. You were never All-Star? Okay, I thought you were All-Star. But like just being in clubhouses with All-Star caliber players, Hall of Fame players, and watching how they work, like to me that's a life lesson. Like if I'm trying to learn something or I want to get better at something, I just find somebody who's doing it really well and try and emulate them. And all those guys have incredible routines.
Yeah. Let me add to that real quick too. One of the best scenes I've ever seen in my career. I don't know if you remember this. We were in San Diego. They beat the brakes off us for 2 straight games. Right? We just played bad baseball. 2 games. It's a 2-game losing streak, mind you, Kents. Next day we have a day game against them. I think it is. Wait, they say, hey, we have a team meeting, players only. He addresses the team. Stands up. He addresses the team, and Yachty stands up and he gives his 2 cents. Like, this is it. This ends right now. We're not playing like this again. And we just went out and like waxed them the 3rd day. I was like, this is incredible. I've never seen leadership.
I love that.
It was awesome. Yeah.
And the right guy said it too. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. There's some guys that just should not be talking.
Like you in Pittsburgh?
Hey, yeah. I did it, and we had a rookie pitcher on the mound. It did not go so well.
Trevor, we had a similar thing going on with the Cubs. We're in Pittsburgh. Kintz gives this huge speech. To his credit, it was good. He had us read a bunch of stuff too, like about like what our team expectations were prior to the season. We had to remind ourselves of that. And so everyone's like, all right, ready to go. And we got blown out by like 10 runs.
We had a guy making his major league debut. Terrible. That was a terrible move by me.
It's just like a coin flip. It's like you're hoping, like, please God, let us win today.
Yeah, seriously.
I remember walking into the clubhouse. Javi Baez like, nice team meeting. I'm like, shut up.
So good. All right, last question I got for you. I just want to address it a little bit. 17, you had Tommy John surgery, is that right? What was it like coming back from that? Because I feel like it's so prevalent now, especially in younger ages. Like kids play so much baseball, especially in Florida, and they get TJ in high school, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. Dads are like, my kids are gonna get bigger and stronger." Like I've seen people bounce back like that, and it's not always the case. Like in fact, I think it's a less of a success rate than people realize. But what was you came back from it? I know you struggled early on, but then you were pretty strong for a couple of years. What was that like getting back from that? I think people need to know.
I agree with what you're saying. Like there is this idea that it's foolproof and it's all going to work out for the better. It's good to have it and then you move on. And I would say that's like false thinking. Like it's definitely better to not have it to avoid getting injured. So for anybody out there that's thinking it's better to blow out and get it fixed up and then you're going to be good to go, it's not true. Like the native anatomy is better than the arthroscopically repaired anatomy. But, fortunately, the technology and surgery has evolved to the point where you can return to sport. There was a period of time where that wasn't possible. And I would say like in my experience, I think it's unique to each person. But, I like it, going back to me being hard-headed. I was a little bit hard-headed. I wanted to push the envelope. I wanted to do things a little bit more, go a little bit faster, think a little bit bigger. And my advice to people is always like, just follow the instruction of the team, of the doctor or whoever is guiding you along the way. Like they have a little bit more of a 10,000 foot view. They have your best interest in mind. So don't feel like they tell you something and then you need to do a little bit more. Just follow the protocol and that will give the best chance for success. And I can speak personally, like I made mistakes. Like I tried to gain a ton of muscle and mass. I tried to change my mechanics. I tried to do all these things. And I think it it definitely had a negative impact on my performance, and maybe even had some negative impact on my physical well-being. So I think I pushed it a little bit too hard. But at the end of the day, I mean, for me personally, like, I can look myself in the mirror and be happy and feel proud of, like, okay, at least I gave it everything I had. At least I didn't, it wasn't like at the other end where I didn't do enough or didn't do at least the minimum.
Totally.
But yeah, that would be my advice, is, following the protocol, and that'll give, I believe, the best chance of success.
My last question for like youth sports. So did you throw hard as a kid? Like were you the hardest thrower as, let's say, a 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old?
Definitely not. I think I was just very, middle of the road, average, maybe slightly above average baseball player throughout my youth career. Definitely like a late bloomer. And I was fortunate to have good coaching. I had, coaches that were former professional baseball players. So I got a lot of good instruction on how to go about playing the game the right way. I was able to play all positions. Actually, my least favorite position to play was pitcher for most of my career. So yeah, I would say I was, definitely kind of like a late bloomer, and that's why I was, drafted out of junior college in the 21st round, and not out of high school or anything like that.
So being the best 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old player, you don't think is the most important?
I do not. I mean, it's interesting how the economy has shifted to these organizations really like being proud of the talent that they have at a young level. And I'm not involved in it, so I can't speak too much. But from what I've seen, I hope the parents can like see a little bit of the writing on the wall of, like, it's a business, and they don't necessarily have your kid's best interest in mind. And I look at like my good friend Matt Holliday and his sons Jackson and Ethan. Jackson was a first round pick. Ethan's going to be a top pick, and he's like, they just play baseball like normal kids. Like, they're talking about the potentially the best players of their generation, and they're not doing all the showcases and all the events. Like, they do what makes sense. But at 9 and 10 years old, they were in the outfield with Steve and I, shagging fly balls, like,
Right.
and just playing catch in the backyard. That's all it was.
That's the best.
It is awesome. That's the way it should be. I think it's becoming, the parents are becoming a little bit more aware now. Like you're saying, Trevor, that these travel ball organizations, I feel like rec ball is starting to pick back up a little bit because of it. It's just so much commitment for a 9 and 10-year-old. It's like they haven't even hit puberty yet. Like, you don't know what kind of player they're going to become. Like, maybe they have the baseball knowledge. That's great. But I remember our best player at 12 years old stayed the same height. It was just an average high school player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I will speak to the other side of it. And we've all seen this. Like, the game continues to get more competitive. Maybe not exponentially, but there are players today where you're like, holy cow, like, these guys are better. Like, the game is getting more competitive. And so I think there is a mechanical aspect of, like, being at a young age, learning certain skills, developing those skills, and the sooner and the more consistent that you can do that, you're probably going to give yourself a better chance for success at the next level. It's not guaranteed, and it's definitely not like an all or nothing or like a win at all cost mentality of like, let's sacrifice, let's take out a second mortgage on the house. We're going to do all these things just so little Johnny can play baseball every single day. And we, got private lessons and taking him out of school for private lessons, and all those things. I disagree with that side of it for sure.
Yeah, because you have girls that do gymnastics, right? I mean, I think that's more of a sport where you kind of have to stay in it a lot.
I'm learning.
It's a commitment.
It is. We kind of fell into it, and we're just kind of riding the wave and trying to do the best we can. But it's another one of those sports. I think with girls sports compared to boys sports, it's even more difficult because boys sports, everything filters down from like the professional collegiate level where all the funding is. So the information, the resources are more abundant in boys sports. And then on the girls side, it's like everything's lagging 5 to 10 years. So I'm trying to help like interject some of my experience from baseball of, injury prevention and mental health, like those sorts of things into a sport that's maybe 5 to 10 years behind.
That's great, dude. I love that. Good for you. And I agree. That's a really good observation. It's very true. Sweet, man. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to come chat with us. We went a little bit longer than we anticipated, but it was such good stuff. So
it was such a great conversation. There's more things.
Yeah, it's really good, man. So thank you so much.
Yeah, what's the premise of the show? How often are you guys putting out? Is this once a week?
Once a week when Steve's available.
Guy was sick last week. He's like, I have a minor cold. I can't make it on.
No, from that crash, dude, my body was like shut down. I don't know what was happening, but I just
Just so
could
you
not
know, he did
function.
this in the bullpen too.
Throw him under the bus.
Hey, you got to just tell him I'm not pitching today. I'm telling you.
Smart. That's maturity.
That's right.
No, we just do
All right,
once
brother.
a
Well,
week. We
thanks so
talk
much.
crap. We wing almost everything. Nothing's ever planned. We just wing it, talk baseball or talk something like this. You know, it feels like we're still part of the clubhouse a little bit. It gives us a little chance to talk shop and talk crap to each other.
Yeah,
It's
man.
good times.
I enjoyed it very much. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Steve, for reaching out. And I mean, I agree, Kent. Like, the thing I miss the most about the game is just like the relationships and just talking to guys, having real conversations in person. And so anytime you guys want to chat, I'm available. We can dive into some current events or topics, whatever you guys might be interested in. So keep me on the roster. Keep me on the roster for this deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good luck with whatever business you're about to buy.
Thank you.
Very secretive. I'm gonna get the lowdown soon.
Well, there's one. I'll tell you. I'll open up a little bit.
Okay.
I've looked at a lot. So I've looked at everything from just existing businesses into like franchised businesses, existing and new development. A couple months ago, I got pretty excited about McDonald's franchises. So I was looking at some McDonald's stores. But then another brand came to my attention called Christian Brothers Automotive. So it's like mechanic repair shops. And those are really interesting. So I'm going through a development, basically like an interview process with them right now. And we'll see what happens. But it's fun. And it's one of those things where like I said earlier, like I'm just kind of like enjoying learning, and it's like a hobby, and I feel like I'm learning so much, and hopefully get to the point one day where I'm actually getting my hands dirty. So we're on that path, hopefully.
That's awesome, man.
Man,
Good for you.
respect for
Yeah.
that. Because I ain't getting off the couch yet.
Well, hey, he stays put right there, unless he's riding a bike. By the way, real quick, when's your next race here?
I'm
Support the
leaving
cause.
next week. I'm going to Chicago,
Okay.
and then I'm going to race in Chicago, go to the Cubs game.
Nice.
And then after that, Denmark.
That's right. It's coming up.
Denmark, end
So
of
cool.
July. Make sure you watch the World Championships.
This
Real
is
quick, Trevor.
serious.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
he's really good. I saw him, and this is where I got he got us his hat, got our whole family these hats. He raced in Florida and just killed it, man. It was impressive. Like, it was awesome.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps me in shape, keeps competitive edge. I mean, I don't get the adrenaline rush. It was funny. It was the main event in Nashville, and this guy next to me who was insanely fast. He's like, I got so much adrenaline in my body right now. I'm like, I don't got that. Like, I'm not there on that one yet. So I wish I could get that. It's not the ninth inning. I'm on the road or anything, but you know, it's fun. It's competitive. It keeps you in shape.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to check it out.
For sure. Well, I go to Houston a lot. Houston has one of the best tracks in the country.
Where's the track at?
Look up, it used to be called Houston Rockstar. It's like look up Rockstar Bike Park or something like that.
Rockstar Bike Park? Okay. Because there's like a Three Palms. It's a moto, like a dirt bike track by my house, but I didn't know if they did BMX there.
No, they got the track, and then they got some dirt jumps, and then they got so much stuff at that facility. You should check it out. Take your kids there.
We'll check it out.
All right, man.
Next time you pull up in Houston, I'm going to be on a bike next to you.
That'd be sick. I'll hit you up next time I go there.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening
I
to
gotta
our.
go do an escape room with a family.
That's what you're doing right now?
Pretty soon, yeah. Marissa's scheduled an escape room with the girls. So,
All right, I got to go train this kid real quick.
all right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks, Trevor.
All right, see you guys.
See y'all.